Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are okay. Just gonna give it a minute or two for people to join in. We're going to talk about. I see a lot of conversation going on. So I thought we need to just come on and clarify a few things. So basically, that's why we are here. Yep. So I hope you guys are okay and everybody's doing all right. Good evening. Good evening to you all. I hope you all are doing good. Actually, I was going to do the Facebook Live on my page, but there's some sort of restriction from Facebook where you can't invite other people to join you on your Facebook Live when you're on your page. It has to be only you, and I intend to get a few people on this discussion. So I decided to do it on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now try to share it on the page, yeah? So that's what I'm trying to do as we speak right now. I'm going to try to share this to a page, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I think I've just done that. Yes, I think I've just done that. So those who are on the page would be able to see it, and those that are on my personal page will also be able to join in. Before I start, I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell a story, and this is a story that I believe a lot of people, a lot of individuals, a lot of us have come across, either in a academic journey or probably just out of interest reading. And the story is it's about a book. It's a book, but this was it was a Greek. It was written in ancient Greek, the story, but it was adapted by Ola Rotimi. That's his name. Ola Rotimi is a Nigerian author, and he wrote the book, the play, "The Gods Are Not to Blame." This was a stage play that he wrote in 1968, and then, of course, I think in 1972, if I'm right, or 76, he then adapted the stage play into a novel, into a book. And of course, we know it was titled "The Gods Are Not to Blame." The Gods Are Not to Blame. Yeah, that's the actual title of the book. In this play, it was set in ancient Yoruba land. Ancient Yoruba land. That's where the play was, the set was done. And in the book, "The Gods Are Not to Blame" by Ola Rotimi, Yes, 1968, and then it was done into a book in 1971. And it was an adaptation of the Greek classic. It's called Oedipus Rex. Oedipus Rex, and the central figure in this play was a gentleman by the name of Odewale. Odewale. So what happened is when Odewale was born, and in just as is done in ancient Yoruba culture, he was taken to the priest, the chief priest, who was referred to as Baba Fakunle. So he was taken to the chief priest so that the chief priest can predict his future. Odewale was born to King Adetusa and his wife Queen Ajola. So basically, King Adetusa and the wife Queen Ajola had a son. Their first son was called Adewale. And now Adewale was taken to Odewale, not Adewale, Odewale. So Odewale was taken to the chief priest, Baba Fakunle, to predict his future. So when they took him to Baba Fakunle looked and consulted the gods, consulted the oracle, and then predicted that this boy would kill his own father, and he would then subsequently marry his mother. So this was what the gods predicted. And if you're joining us, I'm talking about the story, The Gods Are Not to Blame, a play written by Olorotimi, a Nigerian poet. So after the prediction, King Adetusa, who was Odewale's wife, or Odewale's father, decided that the only way to avert the course from the gods, this prediction from the gods, was to kill the child, the baby, Odewale. So Jibonka, that was his name, was the servant, the chief servant, the messenger kind of thing to the king. And he was given the task of taking Odewale to the bush, slaughtering him, and then to return back. So that way, if Odewale was murdered, then, of course, the prediction of the gods would not come to fruition. So Jibonka left with the baby, and after a few moments, I think he returned, as you would rightly think, and of course told everyone, including the king in the village, that the child was murdered, that the child was killed. He had carried out the instructions, and the baby was no more. But when he went to, when Jibonka went into the forest, he did not kill Odewale. What he did was wrap him in a white cloth. He left him there, and of course Odewale was taken by somebody else, brought up in a different village. So I'm trying to summarize the story. So a few years after, something happened. Someone told Odewale that the individuals he thought were his parents were not his parents. Things happened, and They told him the prediction of the curse of the gods that was on him, that is to kill his father and marry his mother. So Odewale, thinking that the only way he could avert that happening to him was to run away from his parents, his father and mother, not knowing that his father and mother were not his parents. So anyways, he left. He ran away into a different village. And whilst he was doing so, he met on a pathway. He went somewhere else. He bought a land, and he was clearing this land. Spent quite a number of years clearing this land, his own land. And then, of course, some old man appeared from nowhere who claimed that he was the owner of that land. They got into a fight. And then, of course, Odewale killed the old man. When he killed the old man, he ran into another village. When he ran into this village, he was there, and that village was being attacked. And when that village was being attacked, he, Odewale, now became one of the chief warriors in that village. He was very strong. He led them into war against the attackers, against the other village that was attacking, and they successfully won that battle. The people of the village decided that since he has helped them win the battle, and since he was strong, since he showed leadership skills, he showed that he had great potentials to galvanize his people, they decided they were going to appoint him as king. So this is how Odewale became king. Now, when he became king, it didn't stop at that. As per the tradition, he was then told that he would have to marry the wife of the former king. So that was how Odewale, now King Odewale, got married to Queen Ojula, or Ojula, I can't pronounce the name, but that's it. And they had 4 kids, 4 children. Now, suddenly, they started experiencing a lot of things, a lot of bad things, a lot of bad sickness. People were dying. You know, the village was suffering. The community was plagued with unknown disease and stuff. So Odewale then summoned Baba Fakunle, who was the one that predicted that Odewale would kill his father and marry his mother. So he was brought into the palace, and he was asked to look into the reason why a lot of things were happening. And it was there that he got into an altercation with King Odewale, and he called him a murderer. He called him various names. And that was when he told him that he was the one responsible for everything that has happened in the land. But before this, King Odewale had made a vow that whoever it was that was responsible for the death of the king, that once that person is brought to him, he will pluck the eyes of that person and he will banish that person forever. So there it was, the chief priest, Baba Fakunle, as he was called in the novel, then said to Odewale that you are the cause of the trouble. You are the cause of everything that has happened. And it was then that Odewale found out, after the story, the narration of his birth and the prediction at his birth was again re-narrated to him, that indeed, and he had a flashback in the novel, and he realized the old man he killed that was actually claiming his land in the other village was actually his own father. So the prediction of the gods that he would kill his father came to fruition. And he then realized that the woman he married, the wife of the late king, was his own mother. So the prophecy of the gods that he would kill his father and he would marry his mother had come to pass. So when his mother realized that she had married her own first son, she went into the bedroom and stabbed herself to death. And of course, Odewale went into the bedroom, saw the mother lying in a pool of blood. He took the dagger, and because he had given his word that whoever it was that was found to have been the cause, the perpetrator of the very, very brutal murder of the previous king, he would pluck his eyes out. So he then took the dagger, plucked his own eyes out, and then he took his son, one of his sons, and he left the village for good, because this was the prediction that he would banish himself or whoever it was, and he left. So he plucked his eyes off, took his son, and that is how he left. So, destiny. Destiny. A prediction that was done that man tried to avert actually came to fruition without even the players and or actors knowing and or intending the consequences that was predicted even from birth. Now, the reason why I find this story very interesting, I'll come on to it later. But going back to the topic of discussion, a lot of things happened today. A lot of discussions were ongoing. So I read the very famous write-up that was done by Mama Sar, and yes, Anasar, that was The Gods Are Not to Blame by Ola Rotimi. Yes, that was it. So I read this write-up where Mama mentioned that she couldn't sleep at night, that she was very disturbed. She was disturbed because she had a conversation. She had a conversation, and in her own words, she said the words of Zainabu was lingering in her thoughts and mind, and she couldn't sleep. And as a result of that, she went on to make a quotation where she said verbatim that Zainabu was, I will paraphrase because I don't have it before me, but Zainabu was saying that she was tired. She was tired of fighting. That people just wish him bad. People wish evil to befall her. People are just going after her, and that she would like to have her brother. Her wish is for her brother and whoever it was, I think it's a family friend, to actually be released from detention, and that they should go after her, and she was ready to die, and so on and so forth. That she was tired, basically. Now, of course, this generated a lot of discussion on social media. So, of course, there was a response from Kex. Anasar, I was out and I saw was having a go at the topic, and I heard, I think Mama was on, and a few others say was on. Kex, I think, at some point came on, and the discussion was, you could tell, was very emotional. At the same time, it was a very robust discussion. Now, I want to give my own take in all of this. Firstly, before I get to the write-up of Mama, where it seemed as if Mama was having a conversation with a person who is ordinarily in detention, in remand, that legally shouldn't be communicating or using a mobile device to speak to anyone. So even whereas she was given the privilege, the very rare privilege of having a mobile device in prison and speaking to Mama, it was not something that should have been divulged in a public platform. Because doing that is further exposing a person who's already a victim of the system, a person who is already an alleged victim, and a person who is an accused person, and divulging at the same time trying to advocate for such an individual and saying that you spoke to them whilst they are in remand in Mile 2 Central Prison is not only tantamount to a breach of security of the prison system, but it also tantamounts to misconduct within the prison protocol, within the prison policies, and it could further victimize and subject the alleged victim or accused person to penalties that she may face whilst in detention. That's the first thing. The second thing is that with the issue of Sainabu being so divisive and coming out to show that 1 week in detention, Sainabu is being accorded such rare privilege to actually communicate and speak to Mama Linger Sar in Sweden, goes on to create doubts already that was present in the minds of Gambians of how this particular individual was holding the state apparatus by the strings, by their bootstrings, and remote controlling everything that has been happening so far. Be it this theory is made up, or be it this theory is false, was a subject of discussion. It was an abstract that was out there that we could debate on. But for a person that has taken such a robust position in the issue of Sainabu to come out to say that the words of Sainabu, you see, even if I had spoken to Sainabu, and I understand what Mama is trying to do, because what Mama is trying to do in that post is to invoke public sympathy on the person of Sainabu. She was trying to invoke public sympathy to allow people to see the other side, to paint Sainabu as a human, to paint Sainabu as somebody who was going through a lot, of somebody who was going through pain. And I understand the reason why she was doing that. However, in actually making that pronouncement, rather than having and invoking public sympathy as was the rationale for the post, it backfired because people are now questioning, what is this privilege that this particular accused person has, that she is communicating with people when she is supposed to be incommunicado, not have a mobile device? So what is happening? So you see the discussion. It's like everything that is done to really save this woman backfires. Now, this takes me back to the reason why this particular woman was charged. Again, there was a live video, a show, a program, where this individual, this lady, who was already in the public eye, in the public domain, The public has a particular perception of her already. She was painted, she was branded, and of course she helped to create this brand in a way that was not favorable to her. Now, people were having conversations. They were having conversations on what happened. How did this child die? There were doubts. People were making assumptions. But then, when Zainabu was exposed to the world, and a recording of her narrating the incident, the time leading to the death of this baby, that also backfired. Maybe, and I believe her intention again was to invoke public sympathy, was to allow people to see the other side of this woman that society has actually taken a position against. But when she did that, the message that was delivered, the message that came out to the outside world, was a message that was cold, a message that had no remorse, a message that didn't show any sort of sympathy. The message didn't convey sorrow. The message was empty. The message was devoid of emotions. And that message further galvanized the seeming hatred against Zainabu. A media platform and a journalist of such propensity should never have exposed a woman in such manner. A woman who was the subject of national discussion. A woman who has committed, either voluntarily or involuntarily, an offense, a crime, that even though at the time was not investigated, we all knew that manslaughter or either rash and negligent act resulting to the death of a person is a criminal offense. It's a criminal offense. So this was already a potential accused person, a potential candidate for investigation of a crime. And you bring this person to a platform and you play, even with her permission, even with her consent, you play an audio that is detrimental. And the funny thing is, the irony of it is, if you go back to that audio, of course, if my comment was not deleted, when Paos played the video, I told Paos, I said to him, Paos, as a lawyer, I think you have just implicated and you have just exposed Zainabu Mbaye to the criminal justice system in the Gambia. I said it at the time. And if you notice, it was after that audio that the police decided to look into the circumstances by which this child was killed. Because before that audio, all we knew was that the child was ill, the child was sick, the child was in a critical condition, the child was in Senegal. This was what was told to us in court. Then later on, people heard that the child died because he was forgotten in a car. But not one single person had the details or knew the details and or circumstances surrounding the death of that child until she was exposed on that platform. Again, in trying to defend Zainabu, in trying to paint a human picture of Zainabu, in trying to get the society, in trying to get the community, in trying to get people, the public, in trying to get them to sympathize with Zainabu. What happened was Zainabu was further put into a ditch. Because that video, that audio was self-incriminating. Remember, before this audio, a few days after the child had died, we saw Zainabu releasing a video on TikTok that was shared widely. She was munching on a chocolate bar. And this was after her nephew had died. Gambians reacted to that because this was something that was not, it was not known. It is not known to culture, to Gambian culture. The grieving system in the Gambia is not au fait with what Zainabu was doing. And rather than try to coach Zainabu, what we saw was that a lot of people came out and saying that it shouldn't be determined how a person should grieve. So this was the defense. That who are we? Why should Gambians determine how Zainabu should grieve? She has a right to grieve in whatever way she wants. But the same way that Zainabu has a right to grieve in whatever manner and way she wants is the same right that the Gambian public had to judge her based on what they have seen, by the yardstick of the values that they know as a society. So yes, she has a right to grieve the way she has to grieve, but then you cannot now subject the people to react the way you want them to react. No, the same right that you have advanced, that Zainabu has a right to grieve the way she has to grieve, that people grieve in different manner, is the same right that Gambians had to call her out for the way she grieved. And it is the same right that Gambians had to rebel against that type of grieving, because it is foreign to Gambians. It is foreign to Gambians. It is not known. It has not been seen before, where a person that has claimed, that has painted a picture that she was so close to this child, that has painted the picture that she would spend anything and go through any length to secure and protect the life of that child. A person that has painted pictures, a person that has gone through so much trouble to create a certain mindset, to create a certain streamline, so that people would think in a particular direction. She went all out of her way to invoke the Gambian public to think in one particular direction. She showcased her love, her admiration, her concern for this child. And then in a twist, like the bolt of a lightning, that child had suddenly died. The child did not even die in some some painless way and manner. The child died in a manner that has left people sick, that have left people crying, filled with emotions. And you sit in a hotel room, listening to music in the background, munching on a bar of chocolate, and telling Gambians to F off. I'm sorry. The actions do not jive. The painting of a picture of a woman who was so close to a child that would do anything for that child. And that woman sitting in a hotel room, munching on a chocolate, whilst the body of that child was in a mortuary mug somewhere. A mortuary, a mug somewhere. A hospital mug, lifeless. is what did not go down well. Again, the people that were surrounding this woman, they failed her. They failed her. They exposed Zainabu. They exposed Zainabu. They allowed for Zainabu to be judged. And let no one fool you. When you go to court and you watch a judge sentencing a person, an accused person, or you go, if you're not familiar with the jury system in America, just watch movies, and you would tell that a very, very important ingredient is the attitude, the aura of the accused person. Remorse as a subject is always things that people would look at. That is she remorseful? Does her action complement her narration of events? You paint a picture of how you were such a loving and phenomenal auntie to this boy. You created a picture where whatever your kids wear is what this child would wear. And this child had suddenly died. And you were sitting in a hotel room. You were munching on a chocolate. You were listening to music. And you were telling people to get the hell off. Not only that, but you decided to have a recording, an audio, where this person was again narrating. And it was seen the narration was so devoid of emotions. The narration was so cold. So cold. I have never in my life encountered a narration that was so cold, so remorseless, unremorseful. A narration that was so blank that you were explaining the death of your nephew like a chicken has just been slaughtered for Thanksgiving. And this audio was played live. Even where the audio was remorseful, even where the audio was showing pain and emotions, a journalist of such nature should never have allowed a potential victim, a potential accused person, an individual who has the potential of being investigated for a crime, to divulge such a narration for the Gambian public to hear. That narration was not to the Gambian public, it was to a person that lady trusted. It was a narration to somebody that lady trusted. And as a result of that audio, and you can be rest assured that there is no way that the trial of Zainabu and the state can proceed without the mention of that audio. Because what has happened is that audio has laid the foundation of the investigation. Every single narration that would come should be aligned to that particular audio. Every narration, every statement, every witness statement would have to be in line to what has been said in that audio by Zainab. That is the legal implication of that audio. And this was done in disguise or it was done honestly to give her own side of the story. And today, we see the same Zainabu being exposed to the Gambian public, where her communication from prison, the text, the write-up did not say that, or when I got the message that was passed on from Mama, from Zainabu to me. It didn't say that. It didn't say when a prison official called me to say that Zainabu had a message for me. No, the message was clear. And you know, Gambia, people have already screenshot that message. They've kept it in the bag. And anyone, any single individual can go and make a complaint that Zainabu is being given privilege in Mile 2. I had Kex today mentioning that Zainabu had said that she controls the entire Gambian judiciary, that she is powerful, that nothing whatsoever will save Bob, that Bob will rot in jail, that only his dead body will leave the prisons. I have never heard that. But when I heard Keck speak today on when Anasar was on live, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. And you see, life is very, very funny. Because today, a lot of things, and this is why I gave the narration of the play The Gods Are Not to Blame by Ola Rotimi. I saw a video of Zainabu where Zainabu was talking about how you can get away with murder. I don't know if anybody saw that, but I saw it. It was sent to me and I watched it. She said in the Gambia, people commit murder, and if you have a brilliant lawyer, you will be defended. And that is true. Lawyers are supposed to defend. But she said that. Circumstantial it may be. Circumstantial it may be. But these are not utterances. Utterances that a person wants to have under their belt when a situation has happened where a human being has died in your custody. You don't want that. You do not want that. If you watch in I think it was in England. Is it a couple of weeks ago? Where a woman wrote a book. I think he wrote a book to the title of the book. I'm not too sure, but the title of the book, maybe somebody has come across. The title of the book was something like How to Kill My Husband, How to Murder My Husband, something like that. I'll have to look that up. How to Murder My Husband. Something like that. And this woman, her husband died after this book was written. And do you know, they went back to that book. They went back to that book, and that book that she wrote was a central part of the investigations and the subsequent litigation and the subsequent court case against her. In her trial, in her murder trial, the book that she wrote years ago on how to, I think it's How to Kill My Husband or something like that. I need to find it. Just 1 second. I think it was how to kill my husband or something like that. Some weird title. How to Murder Your Husband. That's the title of the book. How to Murder Your Husband. Yeah, that's the title of the book. And I would like you guys to look it up. But the title is How to Murder Your Husband. And it was not in England, it was in Oregon. In Oregon. He says an Oregon judge has sentenced Nancy Crafton Brophy, a romance author, who apparently foretold of her crime in an essay titled How to Murder Your Husband. You see? They said she foretold of her crime. And that is why I'm saying people do not know the gravity of what is going to happen with Sainab Mbai's trial. Wallahi, if she is tried in a diligent way, in a diligent manner, if Sainab Mbai is tried in a diligent manner by the state, I'm telling you, wallahi, I keep saying this, the ingredients of murder are so present in her actions and in everything that she has done before the events that happened. You go on a public platform, you speak on a discussion, and you don't mention anything. You're being interviewed for something completely different. You were talking about something different. Why on earth would you specifically, out of all the crimes in the world, out of all the examples that you can give, you specifically took time and mentioned how somebody can get away with murder in Gambia? And not only that, you went on to say that you can, as long as you have money, you can get a very brilliant lawyer that can let you walk free. Not only did she stop at that, she said there are so many people out there who have committed crimes and they're walking free. I saw that one. The one that Keck said he saw, I did not see. But let nobody fool you. But let nobody tell you that investigators are not going to look at these things. Let nobody fool you. Let no feminist come and tell you, oh, but that was just this or that. No, these are things that they are going to look at. They are going to look at, absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, people can make the excuse that you don't need motive, you don't need anything, but these are things that they would look at. The actions. The actions. Even in court, you could see Sainabu turning to the brother laughing in court whilst you're being tried for a capital offense. She was laughing in court. You think explaining the death of your nephew in a manner that is so cold, in a manner that is devoid of feelings, you seriously think that one person or a group of individuals would be able to change the hearts and minds of individuals, of people who have seen this woman demonstrated in a way that shows that she does not give a damn? To be honest, I'm telling you, remorse is a very, very, very crucial ingredient that should be demonstrated by every accused person that knows in his or her heart that they are innocent of the crime alleged. You cannot, no matter how hard you try, you cannot change the narrative. You cannot change the hearts and minds of people when what they have seen is radically different from the picture that you're trying to create. It's a brilliant picture. And yes, Gambians are very sympathetic. But rather than focus on the part that Gambians are bullying this one woman, in fact, I think it was the other way around. I think Sainabou Mbai has bullied every single Gambian that has a conscience. Because every time there was a particular period where it was Sainabou Mbai that was bullying every Gambian that's out there. It was Sainabou Mbai that was taunting every Gambian that was out there. Her TikTok live videos was a bully to everybody, every person of conscience. Because whilst people had their loved one languishing in jail, waiting to be tried, one adjournment after another, one delay after another, and every time there was a court case, Sainabou would make it a point of duty to come out and speak to Gambians and tell Gambians, you know what, you can go to hell. We got this. This boy is not coming out. That was Sainabou bullying the conscience, the hearts and minds of every sane and right-thinking Gambian. So no, you are wrong. Gambians are not bullying Sainabou. Gambians are reacting to the bully that Sainabou has meted on them. Gambians are reacting to the bully that Sainabou and her gang and people that were close to her had meted on Gambians. It was a torture. It was painful to watch Sainabou come online the day that Bob's ball was revoked to say that yes, he has been caged. It was torture to watch. It was torture to watch. Because the average Gambian culture, what we know is that no matter how you want to go against a particular person, but when you sit down and look at the fact that that particular individual is the father of your two kids, you would allow the system to take its course and sit back and think of the life of your kids, the future that they would have without a father. But no. No. This was a person that was publicly advocating for the lynching of her ex-husband and the father of her kids. This was a person that was advocating for the eventual demise of this guy. He said the guy would rot in jail. I saw those words. I still have copies of the screenshot of Sainabou Mbai's Facebook and WhatsApp status. I still have it. The day that Bob's bail was revoked, I have it. I still have it. That was at a time when no Gambian cared about Sainabou and the focus and attention was on Bob. This was a period that nobody knew who Zainabu was, but everybody was full of pity, full of sadness for Bob. So the bully is not the Gambian public. The bully is Zainabu Mbai. Zainabu Mbai is a victim of her own circumstances. Zainabu Mbai is a victim of something she created. I have never spoken about Zainabu Mbai. Today is the first day I'm talking and going in depth about Zainabu Mbai. I'm not talking about her matter in court. I'm talking about factual events that are outside there in the public domain for all to see. This is a woman that taunted the very conscience, the very hearts of Gambians. This is the bully. Zainabu is the bully. Her TikTok videos, her WhatsApp statuses, her Instagram posts are a testament of the bully that she is. She is the bully. The bully that is typical style of her and her gang. Of her and like-minded people like her. So today, you are saying that her actions are a result of the bully. That is not true. That's a false premise. That is not based on fact. She bullied Bob's mother. She bullied Bob's family. She bullied the friends of Bob. She bullied them into extinction. She bullied that woman until to a point when I spoke to that woman, she tells me, I don't want to go on social media. I don't want to see what is happening on social media. You tell me what is going on. Melville, call me, tell me. She would speak to me in Aku, say, you tell me. And they look up to Una, tell me. Because this woman was scared to go on social media. She was tormented to go on social media. But none of you people that call yourself feminists would relate to that woman who is a woman. Bob's mother is a woman. Your advocacy should touch on that woman. A woman that was being bullied by an ex-daughter-in-law. A woman that had her son, her only survival, her only means of survival, the person that was responsible for her income, her support, her financial string was taken away from her. She was not allowed to even process that in a very calm and quiet way. No, but you had a daughter-in-law, an ex-daughter-in-law that would go on social media and taunt the woman. Yes, this is what happened. So you cannot come today and change the narrative. We are not all fools. We are not gullible. Nobody can change the narrative. Those days are gone. You can't change the narrative. You can't try to invoke public sympathy on something that is not true, on something that is not honest, and something that is not based on reality. You cannot do that. You cannot. And we will call you out one by one for the lies, the inconsistency, and the things that are not true. If you want to invoke public sympathy, do so. It is your right. But do so with honesty, with sincerity and truth. The first bully in this matter is Zainabu, and I will say anywhere. She was the first bully. She bullied everyone. It was painful to watch, knowing you have your friend behind bars, and you have a woman who you know is the father, is the mother of her daughters, going on TikTok, speaking to the wall and saying you don't give a damn about that guy. Let him rot in jail. That is the bully. And this was what was being sent to Bob's mother. This was what Bob's mother saw. Is Bob's mother not a woman? Is Bob's mother not a woman? Should she not be protected by you all feminists? Should she not be protected? Has she committed a crime? Is she an accused person? Has any one of you feminists reached out to her? That would have shown me that proper, true and true, you all was feminist. The feminism you so defend, could it not have been extended to Bob's mother? that woman has her son in jail. Her son died. It didn't stop at that. Her other child died. 3 people died. In a way. Because as far as she's concerned, she has not seen Bob for 2 and something years. And if you don't know, let me tell you. Bob went to Freetown and brought her mother to Gambia to care for her. The means of livelihood for that mother was cut short. Yes, now there is a lot of public outcry. People are sending stuff for Bob's mother. She's being supported. But I'm telling you of the days and time when nobody even thought about Bob's mom. I'm telling you about the times when she had no one. I'm telling you about the times when even when I see her phone call, I would put my phone down and not even know whether I was to pick up her call and speak to her or not, because I had nothing positive to say to her. These were the days I was telling you about. And now you sit in your corners and you're trying to invoke public sympathy on a woman who has meted pain on another woman. On a woman who has meted pain on the hearts and minds of the average Gambian by taunting us. This is a woman that went on Facebook or TikTok to send a message to Gambians to tell them that, you know what, I don't give a damn about anything, nothing including karma. She said it. She said, I don't give a damn about nothing. She said, you want me, do I look like a person who's depressed? Clearly not. This was a woman that was going on vacations whilst her ex-husband and the father of her kids was languishing in jail. So you tell me, and I hear you feminists say you have kids. I hear you feminists say you wouldn't want that to happen to your kids. Would you want that to happen to you as a mother? What Bob's mother has gone through, would you want that to happen to you? Where is the equality that you preach? Where is the equity that you preach? To advance your feminist ideology, you must be blind, you must be impartial. You must be honest. You should be truthful. Just as we are advocating for a true and sincere justice delivery system, so are we advocating for true, honest, and sincere and credible feminists in our country, the Gambia. And today, you want every Gambian to go into their corner and feel sorry for Sainabu. Why should they feel sorry for Sainabu? Sainabu has said that she does not need the sympathy of Gambians. She said it. She said she does not need the sympathy of Gambians. She does not need the help of Gambians, that she is enjoying life and enjoying life to its fullest. You see, you make the argument that she is a brilliant lady who is supporting her sister who allegedly has been raped. Kudos, I support that. But the point is, you can support your sister in a manner that is consistent with decorum, in a manner that is consistent with human empathy. You can support your sister in a manner that is consistent with what we know as a people, as a culture. You don't support your sister. And let me tell you something. And I know most of these feminists, they know that I keep receipts. They know that I keep receipts. But for my respect, you see, the thing is, you know what, I'll say this. In fact, I had a bit of some I don't know how to call it, but misunderstanding or whatever, because I still believe that Sainabu has a right, equal right as Bob has, within our justice delivery system. And nobody can make me. You see, me, I'm a professional. I'm a lawyer. The other people that are doing things, maybe they're not lawyers and they don't understand the gravity of the law. I do. So I will also always advocate that Zainabu is treated in a dignified manner that is consistent with the laws of the land, and that her rights as an accused person is always upheld. I will always advocate for that. And nobody can change my mind on this. Because that is the principle of my profession, and that is what I know, and that is what I believe. So nobody can change my mind on that. I respect all the people that can say that they are not going to mention Zainabu, they don't want to talk about Zainabu, that Zainabu could die for all they care. That is their right. And I will respect them, because everybody reacts in a different way. People react in a different way, so you have to respect them. But I, as a professional, and I, as a person who is advocating for a system that is fair, a system that is equal, I will also advocate that her rights must always be respected before the law. However, what has been created, the attitude of Gambians towards Zainabu was created by Zainabu and the people that are surrounding Zainabu, that has told Zainabu that she is untouchable. Yes. Just like Odewale. Odewale thought he was untouchable. Odewale thought that no matter what happens, when the priest came to him, when Baba Fakunde came to him and was trying to speak to him, no, he fought Baba Fakunde away. He fought them away. Because as far as he was concerned, he was in control. He was in control. He thought he was invincible. Thank you, Anna. He thought nobody can touch him. It's like Macbeth. It's like Macbeth. It was prophesied to Macbeth at Bath, and he grew up knowing when he met the witches, the 3 witches, and they said to him, "No man born of woman can harm thee, Macbeth. No man born of woman can harm thee, Macbeth." This was the apparitions of the witches when they appeared before Macbeth. And the other one turned to him and said to him, "Macbeth, that no one can harm thee unless Dunsin and Wood comes to," I don't remember the name, Dunsin Hill. They said to him, "Until one forest moves to another place." And Macbeth looked and said, "You know what? The forest cannot move. The forest cannot move." And this for me was Zainabu. Zainabu believed that nothing can touch her, nothing can harm her. Zainabu believed she had this wrapped up in a box, in a bottle. And that this was her fight, and she would continue to travel the world. She will continue to sell her product. She will continue to do whatever she wants, while Bob will continue to languish in jail, because she knew that the system that was there was corrupted. Just as the witches said to Macbeth, "Nothing can harm thee, Macbeth. No man born of man and woman. No man born of woman can harm thee, Macbeth." And Macbeth believed that every single person was born through a woman. Therefore, nobody can harm him. And he said, until Dunsin and Wood moves to Dunsin Hill or whatever it was called, he said nobody can harm them. And Macbeth said, how can the woods move? The forest cannot move. So Macbeth knew in his heart that nothing will ever harm him. This is what Macbeth believed. But nobody made Macbeth to know that there are people that were not born out of women. Yes. when his faith came, when his faith came, and he said to him, "You cannot harm me because you were born of a woman." And he responded that, "No, I was not born of a woman because I was ripped untimely from my mother's womb." So she was not born of a woman. He was born through cesarean section. But Macbeth did not think of that. And of course, when the soldiers were coming, they cut a branch. They all cut a branch of, or some of them were holding leaves. And when the soldiers were marching on, they were all carrying these leaves. They were marching, coming down the hill. And Macbeth stood in the window and he looked out. And what Macbeth saw was what he thought would never happen in his life. Because all these soldiers had cut all these branches. So whilst they were walking and moving down, it seemed as if the forest was moving. Because all you could see was the trees at the top. Of course, he was in his mansion. And he was seeing these soldiers. He was marching down the hill, coming down. And all he could see was the branches. And he said to himself, "How can the woods move? How can the forest move?" But it moved. And today, I'm telling you, that Zainabu, wherever she is thinking and having those same thoughts. How did it come to this? How did it happen that I am sharing the same remand prison with the person I said would rot in jail? The woods for Zainabu has moved, just as it moved in the day of Macbeth. So you see, in life, in this life, you must understand. And that is why I asked the question, is it destiny? Is it karma? Or is it a tragedy? What is tragedy? What is tragedy? Do you understand what is tragedy? Do you know what is karma? Karma is a simple law. It's a law of nature. It's a law of nature. It is a belief of a certain sect that the actions of a person are the consequences of what happens. That everything you see that happens to a person, there is a correlation. There is a seamless transfer of events. That is karma. What is a tragedy and what is tragic about this situation? I see a lot of people try to write in defense and say, "Oh, this is tragedy. This is tragedy." What is tragedy? You have to go back into our history books, go back and look at where the word tragedy comes from. Tragedy was first used. It was a Greek word. A Greek word that if you translate it into English, it meant the end of the goat. The end of the goat. It was first used in about 600 BC. That is before Christ. 600 BC. This is 600 AD. Now I'm confused about it. I'll have to look that up. 600 BC or 600 AD. And it was used in plays. I'll tell you in a minute. AD or... I don't want somebody to misquote me. And what it basically means is that the things and or events that occur, they usually come to an ultimate end where all the actors end in pain. However, the pain is a bittersweet one for the audience, because the audience would find pleasure in the pain of the tragedy, in the pain of the act, in the pain of the scene. So that is how the word tragedy came into modern diction. So when you say something is a tragedy, it would mean that invariably it's a lot of correlated events that have happened and revolved around a particular person, a particular circumstance, where it ends in a way and manner that it leaves pain for all the actors and the people that take part in it. But for the audience and the people that are watching the tragedy occur, it necessarily would not bring pain. It could be, like in the play, it could be that it would bring some sort of gratification in the audience, in the public watching. So again, let's go back to this whole notion of tragedy that is being supported and being bandied around. People think tragedy is just what it is, tragedy. No. When you have tragedy, the effects of the tragedy is not only known to the actors, it is also known to the spectators, to the audience. It is a pain that would invoke some sort of pleasure in the person that watch, in the audience. Now, if you liken what has happened to this family as tragedy, then you could also from another dimension look at it as a teaching and learnable experience for the Gambian public and for the public and for anybody who is watching and looking at everything that is going on. So whilst it will become a tragedy for the actors and players that are in it, it is a learning and teachable moment. And in some quarters, it will bring some sort of gratification, some sort of pleasure to the audience, to the people that watch. Because it is intertwined. Tragedy is not done in abstract. You just don't have tragedy for the sake of tragedy. No, that would be destiny. It would be faith. When you have a tragedy, there has to be a learning moment to it. There has to be some sort of pleasure, some gratification in what has happened. And then people will identify with the events in different ways. And now you hear people are saying, if Gambians have not learned on everything that has happened with the Saina Mumbai event, then they're not going to learn again. But in other quarters, people are having some sort of pleasure. They're having some sort of relief to see a person that they believe in their mindset was going all out to inflict pain. And all of a sudden, she is in a position of pain. And therefore the audience that are outside, that have been watching the interplay, that have been watching the flow, that have been watching the events occur, are sitting in their own corner. Some gratifyingly watching. And now, others are sitting down, and it is a learning experience and a teachable moment for them. But what is undisputed is the fact that the main actor in this tragedy is Zainabu herself. The main actor in this tragedy is Zainabu herself. A picture was created. It was a picture of, I don't give a damn, I don't care, I don't want to know. Do not speak to me, it is not with me, it is with the law. In fact, we saw in the early moments of this matter, and it is something that other people have used against Bob as well. When certain people felt the culture that we have, where the elders will go and speak, where the elders will try to bring peace, not necessarily condoning a crime, not necessarily covering a crime, but where they would try to bring peace, they would bring peace. They would try to salvage the situation. They would try to avert the tragedy. But as in all tragedy, they are blind to all these things. So we saw what happened when these people went to speak to the family, very elderly people. I do not believe they were trying to protect Bob. No, absolutely not. They saw a situation that people are now seeing. That this was the father of your two kids. That yes, probably a crime has occurred. But as a result of that crime, these two kids will have perpetual suffering. The impact would be devastating on these kids. The effect of whatever it is that you're going, the path that we see you going, it will be detrimental to you and your kids. Come back. Let us sit. Let us reason together. We saw what happened. By then, it was Sainabu who was bullying Gambians. We saw what happened. Those audios were leaked. These people were recorded without their consent. I see some feminists making the argument, saying, oh, this person did that. I saw, and I'm going to call her name because she's my friend, and she knows I don't get tired of calling her name, Mama Lingersar, saying, who recorded that video of Sainabu? That person has committed an offense against Sainabu, the privacy of Sainabu. But Mama Lingersar forgot that she has constantly mentioned the video where Sainabu recorded people without their consent who came to Sainabu's house to plead with her and talk to her. Did Sainabu ask the permission of those individuals to record them? And that is why it is said that he who comes to equity must come to equity with clean hands. So today you want to go after that person that exercised the same right that Sainabu exercised to record people without their consent. But Sainabu was recorded without her consent, and now that is and should be frowned on. You see how destiny comes back as a revolving cycle. And that is why we should be true and we should advance whatever we do with impartiality. That whatever we do, it should be done with pride, it should be done with dignity, it should be done with respect and conviction. You see how everything comes round to hit us. The same argument that you made yesterday, it comes back today to haunt you. The same argument that you're making today, your pronouncement of yesterday, comes back to haunt you. Do you call it karma? Do you call it destiny? Or is it part of the tragedy? A bunch of grown men, senior government officials, they were recorded, they were paraded, they were mocked on social media. They never gave consent. They never gave consent. It was in everybody's timeline. People were making a mockery of them. They were the subject of ridicule. They were even accused of using state resources to circumvent the system. They were even accused of perverting the cause of justice. They were never asked. But today, you want to ask who recorded Sainabu? No, Sainabu is a celebrity. She has lost her right to privacy in the public domain. What privacy can she galvanize in an airport building? She was being recorded. That person could claim that she was recording anything and absolutely anything that was around her. And that is why when we advance and whatever we do, we should have values that we inculcate in our pronouncement and in our delivery. So who bullied who? Those individuals that were in that video, were they not bullied to silence? Even whereas they don't even want to talk about the issue of Bob, because they felt they have been so ridiculed and bullied on social media. The First Lady, wasn't she bullied into silence? Didn't they say it was the First Lady that went to bail Bob? That is not true. I know exactly the person who bailed Bob. I know her. But what they do is to try to play with the mindset of the gullible Gambians. We need to understand, and we need to go back to the drawing board as a society, because we need to advocate for what is right and what is true. And when we do so, we have to do it with sincerity and honesty, because your actions come back to haunt you. Now all of a sudden we see the advocacy and the bitterness against the justice system. And yes, I see a lot of people saying, oh, but this is what we're fighting for. We're all saying the same thing. And I'm going to put Anasar on the spot. Anasar did a video today. And Anasar said, oh yes, we are all doing the same thing. Yes, you know, we are advocating the same thing. Anasar, we are not advocating for the same thing. And it has to be clear now. Two things I want to clarify. I don't know nothing about Team Bob, or Team Bob as they call it. I'm not part of it. I'm not part of any team. And I want to make this known. I have been advocating and supporting Bob from day one. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is go back on my wall, or go speak to Bob's mom, or go speak to Bob himself. Or you can speak to Kex, you can speak to Omar Wali, you can speak to a few people. So I have been advocating, and I've been doing what I can do as a person to support him. And he knows that, and I'm satisfied. So I'm not part of a Team Bob. Because the honest truth is, there is no Team Bob. There is a team that is calling for the true dispensation of justice. A team that is saying that Bob should not be in jail for 2 years, where the adjournments, the slow pace of that matter, of that case, of that trial is not occasioned by him. We have a team that is calling for equality before the eyes of the law. This is what we're calling for. And when we advocated for this, we were then labeled Team Bob. We did not name ourselves Team Bob. Nobody came out to say we are Team Bob. People came out to cry and denounce a system that is not fair, a system that they feel is wrong, a system that they feel is inhumane, a system that they feel is not delivering justice as it should. But all of a sudden today, because the other group on the other side also have an accused person who is exposed to the system that we have been advocating against, and all of a sudden they want to preach the same gospel that we are preaching, taking from the same text. But that is not reality, and that can only be false. That can only be false. There is nothing like an A or a B team. Thank you. What we are fighting for is injustice. What we are fighting and advocating for is equality before the law. No, what we have today is a group of persons that believe that the Bob was guilty from day one. It's a group of persons that felt that they could use the case of Bob as a test case to ensure that their movement is propagated and their movement is well cemented and developed in the Gambia. But now these are a group of persons that feel that the very foundation of their movement is suffering the possibility of extinction. This is the very individuals that feel that the very foundations of their movement is being attacked by Gambians. That Gambians are saying no to the type of movement that they have. And all of a sudden, they are now trying to say that, oh no, the message is one and the same. We are just coming from a different direction. That is not true. That has never been their message. That has never been their message. Our message has been consistent from the very beginning. Our message was, if there are no evidences, don't charge. Our message was that you do not charge and keep a person in detention while you go on a fishing expedition looking for evidence. That has been our message. It has been consistent. It has been constant from the very word go. Our message has been that the presumption of innocence is a right to every accused person in the Gambia, and they must enjoy that right. This is what we have advocated for. This is what we stood for, and this is what we have been fighting for. We have never said that Bob did not commit the crime. I have never said it because I was never there. I was not present. But the message has to be clear. We were not at any point propagating the same message. It was radically different. The message is only seemingly coming to a point of meeting because they are now experiencing and knowing firsthand the gravity and implication of the system that we have talked about. So let us be clear. Anasar, I want us to be very clear where we stand. We are not preaching the same message. We did not come from the same text, and we did not take our team from the same book. The point is very clear. We are calling for and advocating for a justice delivery system that is fair. That is all we are calling for. So let us be clear and let us understand that this notion, this sort of trajectory that they are trying to take to make us feel low and to make us feel that we should doubt ourselves and to make us feel bad about ourselves. Nobody in their right sense of the mind hates Sainabu. Why would they? What people hate is the attitude that has been showcased firsthand by Sainabu. An attitude that is not consistent with our culture, with our norms, with our values. So today, when you say that she is tired to fight, what came out and what I took out from that is the fact that you cannot fight an entire country. She should have known that you cannot fight an entire country. There are some battles that are meant to be fought. There are some battles you ignore. You think I will sit down and respond to every single person that has an opinion of me? You think I will sit down, you think my intelligence, you think my exposure, you think my experience will allow me to sit down and banter and respond and try to fight back every single person that says anything negative or bad about me? You think I will do so? If I stop to throw stones at every dog that keeps barking at me, do you think I will ever get to my destination? No, because I will be stuck throwing stones. There are certain battles that are not worth fighting for. None, they are not worth fighting for. But I always believe that only the truth will survive. That no matter how long it takes, it is only truth that will live. Evil can never perpetually prevail over good. For in the final analysis, evil will always succumb to good. Because it is only good that will last. It is only good that will stand the test of time. It is only good that will survive. It is only good that will always look evil in the eye and stand tall and proud. It is only good. For evil will endure for a moment, but it will not survive the test of time. For light will always bow down. Always bow. Darkness will always bow in the face of light. So, the conversation is still on. And I see a lot of people advocating and saying, oh, okay, Sainabu is going to come out tomorrow. No, it is not humanly possible that Sainabu is going to come out tomorrow. It is not possible because we have a judicial system. We have a system in place that would not allow for that. The procedures don't allow for that. The rules do not allow for that. So Sainabu can only come out tomorrow where the state decide to say that they're going to discontinue the matter and they have no case against her. Sainabu will come out tomorrow where probably the matter goes to court and then, there is some sort of magic where, something will happen where the state is not present and or there's no, I don't even know. What are the circumstances where she will be given? No, there's no way. Because what we're going to see tomorrow is that her application for bail will be moved tomorrow in court. And of course, the state would have some days to respond. And when the state responds, then we will have a ruling on her bail application. And then again, like I've always said, we will begin to see the interplay where the justice delivery system, a judicial system we will see whether Sainabu, who is accused of a capital offense, is more blessed and more gracious than Bob, who is also accused of a capital offense, the same capital offense that our feminist sisters elaborated that it was not bailable. The same law that they relied on to say that it was a capital offense that is not bailable. And I see them now advocating that she should be granted bail based on the same law again. And it makes you wonder, do we have any value system? Do we remember our pronouncements of yesterday? Do we remember our advocacy, our fight of yesterday? This is all we fought for. This is all we were trying to say. That why should a capital offense not be bailable? Why? If you're going to rely on the presumption of innocence, why would you punish the person? Because if you're saying the offense is not bailable by virtue of the fact that it is a capital offense, it's not bailable, then it means that the person is being kept in bail as a punishment that commensurates the gravity of the crime. And we have already established, I've already talked about it so many times, that bail is not and should not be used as a punishment. And that is why you see today that even though it is a capital offense, you see the lawyers of Senabu arguing passionately that her right to bail is enshrined in the Constitution, and that the CPC, Section 99 of the CPC, should not be read in isolation. And you see the feminists, they are celebrating this. They are talking about how passionate the advocacy of Sagar was, of how Combe challenged the court and referred to the court to the heart of the Constitution. But when I made the same argument in that same platform with the same feminists, with the same argument that Sagar is making now, just 2 weeks ago, they said to me that I was talking rubbish. They said to me, some of them said to me that, when another person that they invited said something different, they said, oh, that's the real lawyer. Because the real lawyer told them that as long as CPC, the CPC, Section 99 of the CPC is there, then capital offenses are not bailable. But today, you see how these feminists are clapping when the same offense, the same capital offense, just barely 2 weeks after that program where I told them that you cannot punish a person by using the denial of freedom and putting that and denial of bail. Today, you all are seeing how, and if you watch the case tomorrow, you will see how lawyers will defend that even though it is a capital offense, even though the CPC says it is not bailable, but that bail is a constitutional right. The same right that I advocated that Bob should be availed. So if Senabu should be granted bail, don't you think Bob should be granted bail? Senabu has not been convicted of a crime. Bob has not been convicted of a crime. So the world is watching. Our judicial system is on the spotlight. Will we have a Kumbabu Amday and a Kumbabu Amundai? No. You know, it will never happen, because that is when you will see people will pick up. Let it happen and see. Let it happen and see, right? Never underestimate the power of the people. Let it happen and see, and we see what will happen. I told them, and this was my argument. This was my argument. And they said to me, the proper lawyers came and spoke. Well, now you see the lawyers now sitting in court wearing their wig. Tomorrow you will hear them passionately defend that CPC cannot override the constitutional right to bail. You will see them argue that. And then we will know who is the true lawyer. But anyways, guys, I've said enough. I've got nothing new to say. Tomorrow, is going to be a very interesting day. And we will see the defense move their application for bail, and then we will see what happens. I will come out tomorrow and I will give a live commentary and analysis of what happened, and then we will take it from there. But I thank you, and remember, we're going to keep the conversation truthful. We're going to keep the conversation honest. And we will come back. We will come back. We will not get tired. We will remind them of their pronouncements. And in the final analysis, my last word to anybody who's watching and any feminist who's watching through the window or on the side is that Bob's mother too is a woman. So whilst you go on your advocacy and your advancement of your ideology of feminism, I want you to know firsthand that that woman has been the subject of ridicule, the subject of taunt, the subject of torment, and the subject of bullying by no other than Zainab. She too deserves her dignity and respect. So when you speak of bullying, I want you to condemn the first bully that emerged and challenged an entire society, an entire nation, and bullied them into quietness and pain. Because at a time when they were grieving, at a time when they were hot, at a time when they were sad, she came out and she bullied an entire country. I thank you all, and I wish you guys a pleasant night. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock, where we will get into the legal analysis of the day's events in tomorrow's matter. Take care and God bless.